Are you a new light or someone who's never run a dungeon but wants to breeze through a glorified strike for some Dreaming City loot? Well, I have the perfect activity for you. Shattered Throne is the dungeon that came out with the Forsaken expansion and the first dungeon that was released ever in the history of Destiny. Now, at the time, this activity may have been more difficult since it was harder to access than just a node on your map, and us Guardians were also not nearly as strong with our abilities and weapons as we are now. That being said, I didn't play Shattered Throne during Forsaken. I didn't even know it existed until 2 weeks before Shadowkeep came out. So let me just tell you how difficult this dungeon is right now. It's not. Well, maybe it might be if you don't know what you're doing, but even then, I'm here to show you exactly how to tackle the challenges ahead of you when facing the corrupted throne of everyone's favorite Awoken Queen. Now, before we get to the first encounter, I do have to introduce you to a few symbols that you should know. I Eat Ass, 69, Pillow Talk, SoundCloud Rapper, Freebird, Twitter, and Fish. You need to know all these symbols by heart because one, I said so, and two, this actually is kind of the whole mechanic for the first encounter. You're just playing a very dangerous game of hide and seek with the Taken. If you want the elite DPS strategy for these guys, I highly recommend Salvation's Grip, Chaperone, or Queenbreaker. Those really are the only weapons you should be using anyways, so it should be an easy choice based on preference. Once you kill the knight at the start of the Darkness Zone, a symbol will pop up in the middle of the platform showing you which symbol you need to go to in order to kill the next Taken Major. This cycle will continue until you get told to go to Freebird, and there you will kill a Taken Captain. Once you do that, you finish the encounter. Now, you could follow this nice map by Generic Dylan over on Reddit, or you could say, fuck it, we ball, and fumble around in the dark until you find the right symbols. Take note of the Darkness Zone here, so if you fuck up and fall to your death, you'll have no one to blame but yourself, and maybe the Titan or Eager Edge user in your fire team. But once you've successfully played gun tag with the Taken, you'll be given either a Dreaming City weapon or a piece of armor, and you'll be tasked with a very difficult task of falling down a shaft and walking to the next area. Once you've sniped these Vandals and Minotaurs with your infinite range Chaperone, you'll need to kill another Taken Captain Big Boy in order to proceed. I recommend challenging this captain to a slap fight, and if they refuse your
Thunderdome Mega Challenge Extravaganza.
ask your nearest firearm to kindly silence the captain with the ferocity of a child who just had their iPad privileges revoked. Once the door opens, don't get shot and watch the fire. The enemies on either side of the room mirror each other, and you'll see Taken Knights, Hobgoblins, and Phalanxes, so deal with them how you deal with any other problem in Destiny. Once you reach the church in Anne Orlando, carefully navigate along and try to kill the Painting Guardians before they knock you off the beams. Once you find yourself at the portal, walk inside and be aware of the army of Thrall you're going to have to cut your way through. You can't recover health over time in this room, so you have to go to other sources of regaining health, like Touch of Malice. Once you make it through the hallway and jump through another Taken portal, follow the path and kill the enemies until you reach a building with a bunch of phalanx in front of it. This part is 100% serious. Before you jump over the railing here, wait for a few seconds until you hear an audio cue and for the location to show in the bottom left of your screen. You can get soft locked here if you aren't careful, and trust me, it isn't fun. Once you do drop down, you're now playing basketball with one of the Monstars from Space Jam. Your goal is to gently caress each of the Monstars' teammates and grab an orb that drops from them. Once all 4 teammates have been gently put to sleep by your loving touch, you need to dunk the basketball into one of the 4 hoops in the gym. Once you dunk the ball, you'll be able to do damage to the star of the show. And if you tell the boss it sucks at basketball enough times, it'll fall to the ground in tears and you can progress with the dungeon. Just be aware of the volley of basketballs it throws at your head, since they can quickly end your suffering if you aren't careful. Once you've successfully bullied the boss into thinking it can't play basketball, proceed forward to the next part of the dungeon. Honestly, there isn't much to say about the run-up to the final boss, though the elevators do launch you higher than a college student that accidentally ate a full tray of their roommate's brownies. Don't look down, slay out with your Salvation's Grip stasis grenade launcher, and you should be fine. You'll know you're at the final boss when you see a wizard named Dulankaru and her homies, the Claimers of Ass. This fight is easy. There's not even a joke to be made here, because the joke is the boss itself. In this encounter, the Claimers of Ass will drop a stacking buff called Ass Claimer when they are killed, but the catch is you want to kill all 3 knights around the same time, so you have the most time with the Ass Claimer buff. Once you have Ass Claimer times 3, you can claim the ass of the boss by literally any means. You sneeze on her, dead. You hit her with a wet paper towel, dead. You wield the power of the Death Song against her in a show of utter dominance over the forces of life and death, dead. Once you pull the big bad wolf on the health bar of the final boss, you'll be finished with the dungeon and can now proudly say that you have claimed the ass of Dulankaru.